This is where they trade the options on the gold and silver index at the Philadelphia Stock Exchange. I'm standing outside the Shanghai Securities Exchange in Shanghai, China. We're on the options trading floor of the Pacific Exchange in San Francisco. I'm Richard Saxton with Market Talk from Toronto, Canada. I'm Richard Saxton with Market Talk from Bali, Indonesia. This is the NYMEX division of the New York Mercantile Exchange in New York. I'm Richard Saxton in Hong Kong for the handover. We're on the grain floor of the Chicago Board of Trade. I'm Richard Saxton on the road in Sydney, Australia. You're on the floor of the Mexican Stock Exchange. Good morning and welcome to the continuation of FNN's Morning Market Line. I'm Richard Saxton. The Dow Industrial Average selling off in the first hour of trading after closing over 3,000 for the first time ever, closing at 3,004 yesterday on heavy volume. Right now the Dow Industrial Average is up a point. Bonds down 23/32 basis the June futures contract at 96.08. Weighing on that, the decline in the jobless claims and also the smaller than expected trade deficit that came in. That is boosting the U.S. dollar, and the dollar is trading higher as we speak. Good morning. I'm Richard Saxton with 22 Business News at 11:30 a.m. on this Monday, November the 16th. The stocks gapped open with the Dow Industrial Average hitting 9,006 and now going back down to fill that gap. Stocks got a boost from Iraq's decision to comply rather than confront, and constructive solutions to the Asian economic crisis came out of the APEC meeting and also Japan. It's a wait-and-see Monday. Tomorrow the Federal Open Market Committee meets to discuss interest rates, and the hopes are for another 25 basis point cut on the Fed funds rate. It's a pleasure to have with us Michael Dell, who is the chairman and CEO of Dell Computer Corporation. He's written a book called Direct from Dell, Strategies That Revolutionized an Industry. And the numbers on his company are just absolutely staggering. The stock has gone up 50,336%. I'm Richard Saxton with Market Talk from Orlando, Florida's Money Show, and my guest is John Bogle. He is the senior chairman of the Vanguard Mutual Fund Group. We're live on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. The trading day has just ended, and a lot of smiling faces here, obviously, with the markets being up. All right, Joe, let's follow you to the IBM booth. And as we make it through this floor traffic here, how can you describe the traffic over the years, getting from one specialist booth to another? Is there more or less? Or?
Well, there's still only 1,366 seats on the floor.
I'm Richard Saxton on the floor of the American Stock Exchange in New York, and joining me is Jose Aponte, who's currently taking an order, and we're going to follow him as he writes down the order. He takes orders for equities and options. This floor deals in both those, and he's a floor broker. He's on a cell phone, which is an in-house cellular phone, and is currently giving him instructions. I'm Richard Saxton with Market Talk on the options floor at the Pacific Exchange in San Francisco. We're going to fight with you right now again?
I'm afraid you might, yeah. Right.
Let's make sure our camera can follow us here, and we're going back to the Sun Micro options area, options pit.
All right, that wasn't that hard today.
We're a little more than 24 hours away from the handover. Hong Kong will go back to the Chinese, and here we still see some of the last memorabilia of royal emblems. The royal emblem here will be coming down. The government mansion where the Honorable Christopher Patton has been residing will become a museum. So many people here crowded around, lined up to get a glimpse of the last pieces of royalty that we'll see here in Hong Kong. I remember when I interviewed you in November of 1994 after coming back from...
When I was young.
Yeah, well, you were still governor of Hong Kong at that point, and many accused you, and speaking of controversy, of really trying to go the other way to get everything, all the freedoms in before China took over. Have many of those freedoms gone, the ones that you tried to get in and make it a freer place?
They've changed the election arrangements.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Auto Trends, television's automotive authority. I'm Richard Saxton at the Greater Los Angeles Auto Show, where more than 650 new cars and trucks from 40 worldwide manufacturers are on display to tantalize prospective buyers. I'm Richard Saxton with Car Biz, our look at the automotive industry, and my guest is Rick Wagoner. He is the President and Chief Operating Officer of General Motors. I'm Richard Saxton with the Business of Golf from the PGA Show in Las Vegas, and we're talking to Ely Callaway. And I have to ask you about yourself. You've had so many success stories from the wine business to the golf business. How do you look back and figure out why you've done so well? A course a day, they say they're building, and I know you're very active in the golf course building business. How active has it been for you?
Well, Richard, I've got about 120 some odd golf courses in play now.
My guest is Tom Watson, someone I interviewed 20 years ago, and boy, your career exploded, and you're, in my mind at least, you're one of my all-time favorites, and it's great to see you out here and playing so well.
Thank you.
From Starbucks, and my guest is Howard Schultz. He's the chairman and CEO of Starbucks. Antonio, this is a very powerful delegation because I think probably never before has there been so many Latinos and Latinas in very powerful California political positions down here to negotiate for the state. Jeb Bush, who is running for governor in the state of Florida, my guest on Market Talk from Orlando. I'm Richard Saxton with Market Talk from the Town Hall meeting in downtown Los Angeles. My guest is Steve Forbes. He is the president and CEO of Forbes, Inc. and the editor-in-chief of Forbes magazine. I'm Richard Saxton with AdViz, and it's a pleasure to have someone that was just given the honor Leader of the Year by the WS3A, the Western States Advertising Agencies Association. Donnie Deutsch of Deutsch, who is from New York, but you have a big branch out here in Los Angeles, Deutsch LA. I'm Richard Saxton with Oscar Talk, and my guest is David Foster, receiving his third Oscar nomination. This time, Quest for Camelot is the film that he did the soundtrack to, nominated for 41 Grammy Awards, winner of 14. I mean, good. Anybody in the music business knows David Foster. Forrest Gump is unlike a box of chocolates. We know what we're going to get. We're going to get a lot of Forrest Gump. The question is, will Forrest run past Ben-Hur, which in 1959 won 11 Academy Awards? And the consensus among local media and those that follow the entertainment industry is that Forrest Gump will do very well. However, only 3 times in the last 20 years has the highest grossing movie of the year also won Best Picture. If you had some cash and wanted to put it somewhere, you'd probably want to go where you got the best yield, right?
One would think so, yes.
Yeah, well, we'll take a look and see where the good yields are, at least on the short-term basis. As we approach the Labor Day weekend, many traders are position squaring with the added incentive of the Middle East uncertainty. In this potential war environment, it's interesting to note that the U.S. currency has not been attractive as a safe haven. The Swiss franc has captured that status. Now a judge has ruled that the FNN antitrust matters can be decided in bankruptcy court. That is a big development because antitrust matters normally decided by the Federal Trade Commission can take possibly a year to decide. Of course, creditors would not wait that long, so that could have been in favor of the Dow Jones Westinghouse bid. But if the bankruptcy judge can make a quick decision on antitrust matters, then it's still probably an equal ballgame between Dow Jones Westinghouse and CNBC as to who is the new owner of the Financial News Network. So we'll keep you up to date, and tomorrow is the expected deadline when the FTC was going to state whether or not they were going to sue on antitrust matters. My guest via satellite now is Charles Schwab, chairman of Charles Schwab, and obviously the founder of that company based in San Francisco. Thanks for joining us today. Let's talk about your earnings, first of all, and the impressive performance in your own company's stock price before we discuss other issues. You recently reported Q3. How do you describe what fueled your earnings?
Well, thank you, Richard.
I'm Richard Saxton with Market Talk. My guest are the Motley Fools. We have Dave and Tom Gardner here, who have developed not only a web page that seems to be the most hit financial web page on the internet, but also they have a new book out too, The Motley Fool Investment Guide, How the Fool Beats Wall Street's Wise Men, and how you can too. I'm talking to Piero Ferrari, who is the son of the late Enzo Ferrari, who started the company and put out his first car in 1947. You've come a long way in design, I guess, of the cars. It must be nostalgic for you to look up Rodeo Drive here and see so many of the older models. His heart is thumping. He's owned the car for 15 years. How does it feel, Harold?
Very good.
As Harold is preoccupied here with the sale of this car, Mike, we'll go back to you. Stay tuned. We'll be back with further market coverage in about 32 minutes.